Hi, my name is Anand Hasbi and welcome to the Funny Finance Guy. In today's small little episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about my investment philosophy. And one of the reasons why I'm talking about this episode is that one of the subs have quite recently asked me a question on how does one pick stock in the market with, say, not much of experience. So for this episode, let me tell you how I first started my journey into investing. And that journey started when I was in college. And one of the first books I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's almost everyone's, first investment book. And in this book, it talked a little bit about how one should always buy assets. And how we can define assets is for every 1 ringgit we put in. And if that amount multiplies, or if the amount becomes from 1 ringgit, it becomes 1 ringgit 5 cents or 1 ringgit 10 cents, that in itself is an asset. So amongst the asset classes, which is most common amongst, us Malaysians, are as follows. Number one, it could be stocks. And since this channel talks mostly about stocks, it's very common. The second one is houses or property. And the third one, it could be anything as random as grain or as random as even buying a car for us to lease that particular car. So we have to remember the investment philosophy behind that is buy an asset which will help us multiply our capital. The second two investment philosophies I picked up a bit later in my life, which is these two simple philosophies. That is, number one, the investment has to make sense in our head. Once I start talking about investing in an oil project and a Nigerian prince wants us to invest in that particular oil project, guys, even though the returns are maybe 30 or 40%, just do yourself a favor, not kind of look at that particular investment. So the investment for us has to make sense in our heads. Okay. And the second thing, which I always hold dear in my heart, is that when we invest in businesses. So if you look at all my stock picks I've done before this, it has always been looking at the overall trends in the industry and what people have been consuming and what I suspect there is going to be a spike in consumption. And that's one of the reasons why I managed to pick relatively, good counters which manage to, appreciate in price. So these are the three philosophies which I kept. Now to answer the question on what one should invest in, I was thinking back. I was thinking back to the days when I was in college with not much of experience, and truth be told, I was afraid. I was afraid of losing money. I was afraid of failing. And coming from the, Asian educational system, failing is not a very pleasant thing, or many teachers tell us failure is bad. But what I want to say over here is, in order for us to succeed, we need to go through a couple of mistakes. That is very normal in doing something new. So I remembered when I first started, I was fearful. I didn't know what to invest in. And I will be very honest with you guys, okay? So as I want everyone to be honest with each other, and as I want this channel to be as transparent as possible, I'll tell you what I invested in. I got in ASB. And right now, I know some people say, okay, ASB, some of us may be able to invest and some of us may not be able to invest. But hear me out, okay? We use the same philosophy and we use it for a different asset class. ASB tends to invest in companies which are needed to run our overall economy. So they will invest in companies like that provides electricity, that provides water, or they will invest in banks which are really big banks, and also they will invest in companies which are food. All of these sectors and all of this industry is needed for our economy to run. Okay, so remember the philosophies I've been telling you guys, yeah? So it needs to be a business which is stable and it needs to make sense in our head. So, simple me, if I use electricity and there's a demand, if I use the internet, I know there's a demand, I know that these services are needed for the economy to run, okay? So that's a simple benchmark. Right now, what does one do if they cannot invest in ASB? And me being an investment dork, what I tend to do is I will have all these philosophical questions and we will have these debates and whatnot. So during one of my mastermind sessions, which I had with my colleagues, one of them actually came up with a really good idea, and I'm going to share this with you guys. Okay, he told me this. He told me to look around at our family members and what businesses they may have at this point in time. So at that point in time, I actually had a family member which had a business that was thriving. Every month, without fail, there was not enough money, or the bottleneck was inventory. Every month, not enough money for inventory, not enough money for inventory. And I kept telling that family member, borrow to expand. But this family member of mine is very conservative, does not want to borrow whatsoever. And I wanted to buy some equity in that particular company, but again, that family member refused. So I talked to my friend about it, and he said, we don't have to buy equity in that particular company, rather offer to buy, say, the next shipments of products, or offer to buy or offer to invest in the products or in the upcoming inventory. So when I gave that particular idea, it seemed like a really good idea. The more you buy in bulk, the more you can save. And with that saving, the business would I guess indirectly translate that to some form of revenue. Okay. And that revenue, with that revenue, it will be shared between the providers of capital, which is us, and that business owner themselves. So that right there, I think for that particular transaction, the business owner, I think, saved about 20%-ish from buying a bigger bulk. So, and that was split between me and also the business owner. And it was a win-win across the board. Family members were happy and I was happy to make money so quickly and quite easily, and also relatively risk-free, okay? So this right over here, I wanted to share this particular idea for anyone that wants to invest, is worried about investing, don't know where to put their money. What I want to or the message I want to part with you guys is this. Always remember, we are buying assets. So long if it multiplies capital, it doesn't matter whether we are buying grain, it doesn't matter if we are buying like some random piece of land in the middle of nowhere. So long if the asset makes money, we are as good as gold. The second thing we want to look at is the downside risk. Okay, don't invest in businesses where it takes maybe 3 or 4 years for the inventory to be totally sold out. Invest in businesses which are growing really rapidly and they need capital to expand. So that's my second tip. And the third tip, and this is the most important tip, invest in someone that you really trust. Okay, this is not like unlike stocks, which has to go through the Securities Commission, which I guess they have some form of securities for investor. If you were to invest in a friend or family member, should they opt not to pay you on time or opt to maybe be liberal in their payment terms, pretty much we won't be the happiest of all investors. Okay, so I know this is a late night episode. I thank the participants in this particular episode. But over here, I want to part with this message. Okay, if you are nervous, don't worry. All of us are nervous. Even I was nervous at one time. The second thing is that maybe tomorrow or maybe today, if you are excited and if you know that you have one family member that's actually doing a particular business, write down the names of family members which are doing businesses, and maybe on Saturday you can give them a call. Says, look, I have some extra capital. I would like to invest, and maybe talk about how much of returns you can get as a potential investor. It doesn't have to be investing in the company, but maybe you can invest in the upcoming inventory. That way, if the person buys in a bigger bulk, that savings can be translated to an increase in earnings for that particular company, which will be shared with you and the business owner. Okay. So I guess with that, I would like to thank you guys very much for watching this particular episode. And so I hope that answers that particular question on what one can do when you're not sure what to invest in. And those are my investment philosophies, and I hope that helped you guys. With that, take care, guys, and I hope to see you in the next episode. See ya.